All right, you guys. This week, we have a guest by the name of Anthony Delgado. Somehow or another, he lost Anthony along the way. He became Tony. So why don't you just tell me about the transition? I still have you on my phone as Anthony. I'm trying to figure out where the hell Tony came from. But yeah, so somehow or another, he came to Puerto Rico and became Big Tony Delgado. Go ahead and give a round of applause for Big Tony Delgado from the Disrupt. So I want to tell you guys, well, first go ahead and introduce yourself. Say hi to the people.
So, yeah, my name's Tony Delgado. I changed my name from Anthony because there's a senator. So when you Google him, he comes up. Anthony Delgado is like a senator. So I had to drop.
He's pretty good at marketing. He probably knows what he's talking about.
But, yeah, so I came to Puerto Rico after Hurricane Maria. Didn't know anything about the crypto ecosystem. Didn't know anything about Act 20 or any of the crazy startup and crypto stuff that's going on down here. I came down here to do humanitarian work. So when I came to Puerto Rico, 50% of the island still didn't have power. And the people that were affected the worst were the people with no money and no resources. So me and Hugo Sanchez, Hugo is back there. Say hi, Hugo. All
we see is the hand. We don't see the rest of them. But yeah, say hi, Hugo.
Big Hugo. We gave away 300 solar panel lights, food and water supplies. We just went door to door. We weren't a big nonprofit or big company. Just door to door, a bunch of entrepreneurs. Hey, do you still not have power? Do you still not have water? Great. Here's some water. Here's some lights. And it was at that point that I wanted to move to Puerto Rico. So I came back like 2 weeks later, and then that's when I met Pedro and a lot of the people here, and we were at the Vanderbilt Hotel, and it was Blockchain Week, the first official Blockchain Week. And I remember I was there. We had a beautiful room. It was like incredible there at the Vanderbilt, and it was $3,000 a ticket for someone to go. And I remember speaking to someone in the local community here, and they were like, no local Puerto Rican will be able to afford this event. It's $3,000 for one ticket. That's more than most people's rent here on the island, and it is impossible for any person that lives here to actually attend these events. So it's great. Wow, Act 20, Act 22, Act 60, the crypto is gonna save Puerto Rico, but we can't even get into the door to actually learn about what's going on. So that's why I really wanna respect you, Pedro. Not only have you been running these events consistently since Hurricane Maria happened, but you do them absolutely free. So I wanna commend you for doing that because it's really incredible what you're doing.
Every one of you who clapped better have registered. That's why they're free. Okay? So I need you guys to register. And I still need a solution for the registry. So if you don't like registering every week, I know a lot of smart people here, Luke, right? So if you got a solution for me on how I can figure out a way to register you every week without you registering or it not being a pain in the ass, come see me. But no, we've been doing this for free. And honestly, at the same conference I was at, it was Blockchain Unbound, by the way. Which is where I met, and me and Yaron Brook went at it. That's actually the first time me and Yaron Brook went at it. This is a backstory there, in the VIP room of the Vanderbilt. But anyway, at the same conference, I realized the same thing, right? And what I also noticed too is the majority of the people that were very successful in our space were either living in Puerto Rico or thinking of moving to Puerto Rico. Most of the speakers, there were 3 conferences that week. There was Coin Agenda, there was Blockchain Unbound, there was D10E. And in all 3 conferences, what I recognize is that we had the majority of the big speakers in our community, like here, and they were all like friends of mine. So that's when I started Crypto Mondays, and that's when I figured I could have the depth of having high quality speakers week in, week out without resorting to dealing with, unreputable organizations, scams, or just dealing with people that's not going to provide any value to the community. So I'm grateful for that, man. A combination of that, and obviously, one little magical guy with a hat named Brock, who happens to be pretty popular in this space. He sends me a ton of guys. Michael Turpin's another huge supporter. These guys are titans in our industry. Andrew Keys, quietly from Dorado, always sends me people. Andrew Keys is, really big in Ethereum consensus community. So these guys always support us, and that's why we're able to constantly provide you guys with world leaders week after week after week. But I want to come back to you, because what I've seen out of you in the past few years is truly impressive. Because like he just said, like when he got here, he really didn't know. I remember clearly, like I remember when you first talked to him, he didn't know shit about crypto. He didn't know anything about crypto. Like he wasn't doing what he's doing now. And I don't want to put you out there, but you didn't really have a lot going on. You know what I mean? Like at least financially, you wasn't really like ready. And in a matter of a few years, you built up a really, really strong organization with Latino Wall Street and with the Disrupt guys. And there's a bunch of guys in your organization that I've either met, I've either known them prior to me, them being a part of Disrupt, or I've met them after they became a part of Disrupt. And guys are doing really well coming up on the organization. So I want to give you your props, and I want to make sure that we give you your roses while you can smell them. So give him a round of applause for what he's done here.
Well, yeah. I mean, I came down here. I didn't know anyone. I literally knew no one in Puerto Rico.
And then he met me.
I met Pedro. Pedro introduced me to half of the Act 20 people.
Somehow or another, I attract a lot of attention.
And
it's probably the yellow shirt. That's probably what it is.
And I didn't have a roadmap, right? I did not have a roadmap to this island, and this island has a lot of intricacies and a lot of politics, bureaucracy, a lot of communities inside of communities. And what I noticed is a lot of the communities are siloed, right? So, you'll come to an event like this, and it's incredible because there's all these cool people coming together, but then you'll go to another event, and it'll be a whole other community. Right. And there wasn't a one centralized event where communities and people were coming together from different walks of life, right? So that's when we started doing our events. Again, shout out to you because you were the first person. Our first event was held at Paloto 151, the co-working space. Shout out to them. And yeah, we didn't have a big budget. We didn't have any really big sponsors. We were able to pull some really big speakers because like Pedro said, there's a lot of amazing people that do live here, and then a lot of other amazing people that flew in from all around the world. But we didn't really know what we were doing. And you were one of the first people to say, you know what, hey, I'm going to put you on. I've already been doing these events for quite some time, and I'm going to lend a helping hand. And that was in 2018. It was about 7 to 8 months after Hurricane Maria. And I remember this disconnect. We had some speakers who were locals, who were born and raised here, who were doing their speeches in Spanish, and you would think that they would be getting heckled by other people, but they were actually getting heckled by other Puerto Ricans. And I saw all these different communities coming together, and we did a partnership with the University of Puerto Rico. So we started bringing in kids that normally, again, would not be able to attend an event like the one that we put together. And we were able to get people from all around the world. And again, I want to bring it back to Hurricane Maria because that's the mission and why I started doing what I was doing. Before I moved to Puerto Rico, I was living in New York. I was living in New York my whole life. I was working at a tech accelerator. We were focused on investing into companies, but investing into minority-owned businesses in the inner city. So, black, brown, female entrepreneurs. So something based on social impact, but not necessarily addressing Latinos. And then when Hurricane Maria happened, I came here and I was like, holy shit, there's 3 million people in Puerto Rico that are U.S. citizens that have a blue passport, right? Most of the Latinos that we address at Latino Wall Street, the 400 million around the world, those Latinos don't have a blue passport. They're at a huge disadvantage in comparison to the ones that are born here, right? And they just may not know that. They may not know that, oh, wow, I can go open a bank account, right? If you want to talk about crypto, the biggest thing that makes me excited about crypto is the underbanked, right? The people in Venezuela, the people in El Salvador that actually cannot get bank accounts, and inflation is even 10 times worse than what it is in the United States, right? But in Puerto Rico, you actually don't have that problem, right? People are born with U.S. passports. They're born with easy access to banking, easy access to U.S. Routing numbers.
How many people think Banco Popular is easy banking?
Relatively easy banking. But if you ever tried to send an international wire or an ACH to someone outside of the United States, you'll know that it's even worse than Banco Popular. So the young people in Puerto Rico, they are at an advantage, but the biggest problem is what's called the brain drain. So what I noticed when I started looking into the University of Maya West is these kids are so talented. These young people are so talented, so smart. They learn to code, they learn blockchain, they learn these things. And then the smartest of them, they leave and they go to New York and they go to California and they go other places to find opportunity because the entrepreneur ecosystem is not necessarily here. So that's when we started hosting our conferences, and that was the thesis. The thesis was similar to what South by Southwest did to Austin, Texas, where Texas was never a tech startup, it was never a tech hub, but these events kept happening every single year. New people started coming together, new companies started getting formed, right? And now look at Tesla. Elon Musk just relocated Tesla to Texas, and Google has a headquarters there, and there's a huge tech and startup ecosystem in Texas, but that didn't exist 10 to 15 years ago. So that was the thesis
But there's
for the
no
event.
beach in Austin. So even though I'm going to Austin in 2 weeks for Consensus, and I know a lot of cool people there's still no beach in Austin. So I'm under the impression that your whole place sucks if you don't have a beach, bottom line. It could be me.
Well, and the taxes are much higher in Texas.
Yeah, but there's no beach. There's no beach, and it's hot as shit. Both together.
Well, so that's the second thing that I want to touch on is the taxes, right? So I noticed a bunch of animosity, right? There was a big animosity, a big divide, and it's like, basically, screw these gringos. Why are they the only ones getting these tax incentives? And this doesn't make any sense.
FYI, our community leaders, I'm not going to let you know who they are. You probably can guess. But our community leaders are absolutely fighting for Act 22 and Act 60 to be extended. Act 20, I should say. Act 20 and Act 60 to be extended to the local population as well.
As it should be. And there are some programs like the Young Entrepreneur Program, 135.
You are
first $500,000
correct.
is tax
You
free.
are there are a ton of incentives, right, for local people as well, right? There's a ton of them, in a variety of different formats. But you'd be surprised where the resistance is coming from for it to be extended to the locals. It's coming from the local government officials, right? So maybe we might just accidentally release some of the recordings. No, but I'm just playing. No.
Roll the tape.
Roll the tape. No, but sometimes Telegram chats they leak. Shout out to Ricky Roseo. We can't figure out how that happened. But ultimately, what he's saying is right. There's a
disconnect.
It's not
There's
a
a
disconnect. It's really unfair. Bottom line, right? It's 100% unfair. The whole concept behind Act 22, or which is now Act 60, is that you can grow through foreign investment and to entice foreign investment to come to the island and establish themselves here. And the mindset is that if you're an investor and you move somewhere, you're ultimately going to continue investing. You're not going to stop investing just because you moved to Puerto Rico. And the concept is that, okay, so now that you live here, you're going to look around and you're going to want to do things. You're going to see opportunities and development, and you're going to give people jobs, and you're going to help redevelop the island just by you automatically doing business. So that's the whole concept for Act 22. However, it basically says that you have to be foreign investment. So ultimately, you have to be from somewhere other than Puerto Rico. Like, for instance, me, I'm Puerto Rican. I qualify because I didn't live in Puerto Rico for 5 years prior to moving to Puerto Rico 5 years ago. So you have to have not lived here for 5 years.
Well, and a lot of people don't know that though,
Yeah,
right? And there's 5 million Puerto Ricans in the United States. There's only 3 million here. So there's 5 million Puerto Ricans in the United States that are eligible for this.
Puerto Ricans everywhere. God put us here to season the earth. Right? So if y'all think I'm playing, man, I'm telling you, I go all over the world. I've been to 52 different countries. Bad Bunny's everywhere. Everywhere. You can't get away from it. You got people way in Dubai singing shit. They don't have a fucking clue. Kaya eat all day long. But anyway, but go ahead.
So that's another part of our mission is to educate, right? Because there's 5 million Puerto Ricans in the United States that don't know about this, and there's 400 million Latinos all around the world that could be taking advantage of these incentives, but they don't know. And a lot of people that I know here, they're like, oh my God, shh, let me not tell anyone, because if too many people find out about this, they're gonna turn it off, right? That's a big, big fear out there in the community. So again, educating people. Hey, if you're a Puerto Rican, I know a lot of Puerto Ricans that live in Miami, that live in New York City, and they've lived there for more than 5 years. They qualify to come back, just like we did.
Yeah, and I actually, take it a step further. I actually promote this as well to the whole Latin community in the U.S. Right. So if you're Cuban American, if you're Mexican American, if you're Colombian American, it doesn't matter, right? Because ultimately, this place here is going to feel a lot more like home. We have brother Fabian, he's Colombian. This place is going to feel a lot more like home to you than New York or San Francisco or Austin will, right? So for those people as well, even though they're not Puerto Rican diaspora, it's more appealing to them, and a lot of them aren't conscious of it either. So I've done a lot in terms of reaching out to Dominicans and different types of other demographics that are Latino that would appreciate being in a Spanish-speaking place. So with that being said, let's talk about Latino Wall Street, because obviously you was in Disrupt, and then a little while later you started Latino Wall Street. Exactly how did that come about, and what is your focus there?
So the name Latino Wall Street takes inspiration from the Black Wall Street movement. So Black Wall Street, for those of you who don't know, it was a movement.
Oklahoma.
Yeah, in Tulsa, and
Tulsa.
It was in the 1920s, I believe.
1928 is that when I believe they were bombed.
And so it has a sad ending, but a very inspirational beginning, where it was a city of African Americans who came together. They did business, they did commerce, and it is known in American history as one of the most affluent African American communities in the world, right? And so in a similar vein, Latino Wall Street is the Latino version of that. It's Latinos coming together, Latino leaders from all around the world. So my business partner, his name is Alan Borak. He runs a hedge fund in Manhattan. He was born in Mexico, moved to New York as an adolescent, and he was investing into Amazon as a teenager when it was a few cents, right? So imagine being able to buy Amazon when it was 50 cents. Now it trades for $2,000 to $3,000 on the New York Stock Exchange. He was able to become a multimillionaire in his 20s. And then he started his fund. Today he manages over $500 million in stocks.
Sounds a lot like getting ETH at 30 cents.
So we started the company in 2019. Since then, we've spoken and hosted events all throughout Latin America, so Colombia, Peru, Mexico, Miami, New York, obviously Puerto Rico. But when COVID happened, we took a step back from in-person and we doubled down online. And that was the same thing we did with Disrupt. We took a big step back from in-person just because it was really difficult to pull off. And
I didn't step back from on person. I was paying fines. San Juan Police Department has my number on speed dial. San Juan Health Department has my number on speed dial. Who's the new mayor? What's the mayor's name? Romero's got my number on speed dial. Paralisi probably blocked me. Let me see who else. I know Roseo blocked me a long time ago. He got tired of my shit. But yeah. I didn't give a damn. We stopped for about a hot maybe 2 months.
I saw the first announcement.
And then after that, I was just like, fuck it, we'll pay the fine. Go ahead.
But yeah, so we took a step back from in-person. We did host events in New York City last year. So last year, we did events in Times Square. Puerto Rico, it was really still hard to get a convention center or to get like a really big venue. They were telling you, hey, everybody has to have a vaccine. I don't morally think that you should force medical decisions on people. I think if you want to get it, great. But I didn't want to host an event where you had to wear masks, you had to have vaccines, all this crazy stuff. When they lifted the restrictions last year in New York City, we did 2 events at the Marriott, a Latino Wall Street event and a Disrupt event back to back, similar to what we're doing this year. And now this is our event for 2022. So it's at the Puerto Rico Convention Center. It's this Friday. The whole morning session is in English. So from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., it is the Disrupt DeFi Summit. So we have the founder of NFT.com. We have Bo Collins, who is here in Puerto Rico, has one of the first crypto banks where you can custody crypto, large amounts of crypto. and have it backed by banking protection and a bunch of other really cool people. And then, we also have Juan Delgado. He's an NFT expert from Puerto Rico, one of the most influential people in the NFT space locally here, born and raised here. So it's a really interesting mixture at the event from like local community leaders and people who are doing big things in the space here on the island, and international people, and to Pedro's point, expats and people that are moving here that are super influential, but live here, that they live in Palmas, they live in the Ritz, and it's like, hey guys, knock, 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 come speak at this event. So that's the morning session, the Disrupt DeFi Summit, and that's geared more towards an entrepreneurial base, where we're assuming that from 9 to 5 you don't have a 9 to 5 and you'll be able to attend. And then Latino Wall Street.
I will not be there at 9 a.m. I pray to God my speaking slot is not 9 a.m. because there will be an empty chair on stage. But go ahead. We'll discuss the agenda later on. But go ahead.
So it's 9 to 5 is the Disrupt. That section is in English. And then from 5 to about 9:30, 10, we're running the Spanish segments of
German
Latino Wall Street.
My German girlfriend's not appreciating my lateness. She's definitely all over like being on time. Her mindset is if you're 15 minutes early, you're late. You know, she's got a lot to learn about Puerto Rico. But go ahead.
Yeah, island time, right? So we're going to do our best to stay on schedule. But yeah, island time is still definitely a thing when you're running a big event with hundreds of people and fun shenanigans.
About 9:15, 9:20, I'll start making breakfast. No, I'm playing. I'm just joking, by the way. But go ahead. So the events this weekend, you have the Disrupt, and then you have the Latino Wall Street, same thing.
And the Latino Wall Street will be a session that's geared a little bit more towards locals. Mm-hmm. So we're assuming that some people might be having working a job, and they might be able to come after work. So yeah.
Excellent. And where can we go to pick up some more information on this and grab the tickets?
So you can go to disruptpuertorico.com and use the code Crypto Monday. And we hope to see you there.
Excellent. Let me get some questions for Mr. Tony Delgado. Tony, right? I gotta Tony. It's got to be Tony because we don't want to be confused with the senator. But any questions for Tony? Anybody got any questions? No? All you smart people. Nobody's got any questions. Come on up here, brother. Let's grab that microphone. We got one volunteer for a question. Grab the microphone so we can get you on the audio.
I didn't know exactly what you were going to talk about until I came today. I kind of made it a point to come to Crypto Monday, especially to educate myself.
Thank you.
Nevertheless, you got my attention because you started speaking about helping people pursue their own entrepreneurships. That is something that I'm very much interested in. I'm actually taking action to do so. What are you doing today exactly here in Puerto Rico to help those pursue their entrepreneurships?
So we host, a lot of the stuff that we do is online, right? So I talked a little bit about the event and a little bit how I got down here, but I didn't talk a lot about the in-between. When COVID happened, we went really, really hard online. So every single week, we host free seminars on YouTube. We also have an online magazine, disruptmagazine.com, where we publish the stories of other entrepreneurs. And a big part of our thesis is showing that if someone else can do it, you can do it too, right? So you might not follow the exact same path, but success leaves clues. DisruptMagazine.com is our online publication. It's completely free. We're going to be having the print version and giving that out at the event as something fun. We believe that if you look at other people that have been successful, you can reverse engineer their success. Doesn't mean you're necessarily going to follow the same path. But I think that is definitely the key to entrepreneurial success.
So I can speak to that myself because it's very similar to what we do here, right? A lot of people think the panels is the meat of what we do here at Crypto Mondays. They're not. The panels are for their internet. The panels are for their internet, and they're to bring people here. They're to give people the information and say, hey, this is what we're doing in San Juan. The truth is, you guys can all speak to Tony. You don't need to listen to him on a panel, right? And what these events for, if you look to your left or your right to you, you have no idea who's sitting next to you 9 times out of 10. You don't even know that these people could be managing director of Theo Protocol sitting right in the front seat. Right, so you don't know the members of our community are extremely affluent, extremely popular, and extremely prominent in our industry. So at these events, you have the ability to rub shoulders with them and develop bonds and relationships that ultimately can help you further wherever you are in your journey. Whether it's you're trying to develop your own project, or maybe you're trying to get added to one of their projects, right? Because keep in mind, as you build these projects, man, you're going to need more and more people, right? And you're going to need more and more people. And one thing that I know for certain is that as long as you have, good attitude and good mindset, and you're able to be coachable, then you can learn, and you can absolutely be of value to somebody somewhere. That's for sure.
Well, that actually reminds me of a quote from the first governor that introduced the whole Act 20 program, and they were questioning him, and they were saying, well, isn't this unfair, X, Y, and Z? I know you hate to talk about it, but I'm here to talk about it. And the quote that he said, and it gave freaking chills down my spine, he said, I would rather share in prosperity than share in poverty, right? And when you're around successful people, things rub off, right? I'm gonna give you a quick story from when I first moved here. I first moved here, I was single, and I had a dog. It was the only thing I had was a dog. I had no wife, no kids. Now I have a wife and kids, and my life is a little serious, a little bit bigger than it was when I first moved down here. I was a single guy, just had a dog. And I met this guy who was a billionaire. He was a billionaire. He was in the process of selling a company for $700 million. He came down here because he wanted to join the program and save money on taxes, right? And I spent a bunch of time with him, going to events and meetups like this, going to lunch, going to dinner, and I hung out with him for a while, kind of helped him get situated down here. And he was telling me about the next business he wanted to start, and I was like, oh my God, I'd be great. Like, I'm a coder, I'm a techie guy, I've been coding since I was in second grade. Like, dude, you should make me your co-founder, right? And he said, you're a crazy guy with a dog. It's like, you could just steal all my money and disappear, and what are you gonna do? Take the dog with you? You could leave the dog for dead and just disappear. He's like, I only do business with people who have families, because the type of integrity that person needs. And it's like, oh my God, I'm a crazy guy. I'm a crazy 30-something-year-old guy with a dog, right? And then I was like, okay, well, I need to start taking my life more serious, and I need to start looking for a wife, right? And that conversation, which you would think has nothing to do with business, but that conversation led me down a completely different path in my life.
Somebody tag his wife on the
She's watching.
on the live feed. Tag her on the look. He doesn't mean it, Gabby. Okay, I'm just he doesn't realize what he's saying. He doesn't realize how it's coming along. Right. So he got married just because he wanted to do business with the billionaire.
No, that guy doesn't want to do business with me.
Bottom line, and then the guy didn't even do business with him. Ain't that some shit? So that's just about right. So that makes a lot of sense. And I mean,
success leaves clues.
It does,
right?
and getting married for billionaires usually leads to divorce. Ultimately, what that individual, and every investor obviously has different parameters, different goal signs, right? So for maybe that guy, it might have been more important for you to be a family man. But I know other investors that don't want you to have shit but a job, right? Seriously, they want you to marry your job. They don't want you to marry anybody else, because if you end up, with a crazy Puerto Rican girl that want to chase you around, you might not be able to focus too much on your job, and they got knives, so it can get serious really quick. But yeah, any more questions? Hugo, you got a question? We got a question for you, man. We got a question for you. We'll question you later. Who we got a question over here? Raise your hand. Let me get your mic on the microphone.
So I just had a question about, with your background, what do you think is a really big connecting factor? Because you touched on the subject of other Latin American countries and places with people who don't necessarily have the interest or idea of the crypto community. What would you say is a really big connecting factor for people that are in Latin America or in the US that have that idealism and need a point of reference? Because you said you came here, you connected with a billionaire, you had a really good point of reference that was a turning moment for you within the Crypto Monday space and within the whole community. What would you gear people to online, on YouTube, or in person that come to Puerto Rico or other events, maybe in the Americas or elsewhere? What word of advice would you give them, and what insight would you give people in the community to make it more invitational?
Well, yeah, there's a lot to unpack there.
What was the question again? Help somebody give me the question. Okay.
Oh, how do we connect communities?
We have events.
Well,
they come.
Getting them on the same.
You.
Yeah, getting them on the same stage, right?
If you build it, they will come.
at our event on Friday, we're gonna have a 16-year-old NFT creator who otherwise would not be able to be on a stage at a convention center, right?
How old is Devin? His son's been doing it's 2 years now, right? He's been doing NFTs. Yeah.
Yeah, but otherwise, without events that are inclusive, wouldn't have that opportunity.
Shout out to Eric Pino's Blockchain Education Network. These brothers go to the Boys and Girls Clubs in different funded communities in Puerto Rico and put out NFT workshops, and they do so through donations. So if you're interested in supporting Eric Pino's and the Blockchain Education Network, it costs about $1,000 for him to put on these NFT workshops, and he basically goes into the Boys and Girls Clubs in various parts of the island and does them in Spanish for these kids and teaches them how to mint NFTs, how to create NFTs, how to put them on the galleries, and how to buy and sell them on the marketplace. It really is a really good program for them. And for kids that don't have a lot of money but have a lot of free time, I mean, even if they could take these NFTs and make 50, 100 bucks, 200 bucks with them, it's still a lot of money for them. So it's really, really a cool program. So if you guys are interested in supporting, please reach out to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And you touched on something important, is giving the education in their native language, right? So, it's great to do events and do things, but you need to realize that, hey, the default language in Puerto Rico is still Spanish.
¿Cómo está tu español, señor?
Todo bien, chico. So creating things that are inclusive. For our speakers that aren't Spanish, we take all the keynotes and we put subtitles and do translations and things of that nature. But really going out of your way to do what it sounds like you guys are doing, getting grassroots and actually building those bridges, building those connections. We're doing something with the Boy Scouts, something similar. 5,000 Boy Scouts here in Puerto Rico are going to get not only access to this content, but we're doing their financial literacy merit badge, and it'll be powered by Latino Wall Street.
I'm going to ask my morally sound brother here, Mr. Stokes. Should I make a comment on the Boy Scouts or not? Just let it go. Let it go. But go ahead.
You don't have anything nice to say, Pedro.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Fabian, ¿qué fue? Up here, bro. Let's just say I'm not a fan of the Boy Scouts, but go ahead.
Thank you so much for doing this for the Latino community. I'm from Colombia, and I used to live in Houston, and I do something similar, Rolo, Cachaco, de Bogotá. and I do something similar with real estate. I have an organization called Latinos in Real Estate, and that's what I do. So
Love it.
I don't have a question, but where can I buy one of those hats?
LatinoWallStreet.com.
Yes.
You're supposed to bring them hats, bro. Why you didn't bring some hats and T-shirts to give away and shit?
On Friday we will have all that fun stuff.
Okay, what we got?
So, Tony, I first found out about you before I even moved to Puerto Rico. I think I saw an ad or something, and it called you the Gary V, the Puerto Rican Gary V. So I just want to know a little bit more about your influencer come up, since you haven't touched on that yet.
So I, before I moved to Puerto Rico, I worked with Gerard Adams. He is an entrepreneur who...
I met him. He's awesome.
Yeah, super cool guy, very humble, down to earth. And he sold a company called Elite Daily for $50 million. And then he started Founders, which was a fund that, like I spoke about earlier, was focused on investing in minority-owned businesses in the inner city of Newark. So I worked with him doing that work. And through him, I was able to meet Gary Vee, Grant Cardone, Tom Bilyeu, a lot of these guys even before they are where they are now, right? Like Gary Vee was kind of just getting started back in 2016. Tom Bilyeu had just sold his company Quest Nutrition for I think over $1 billion. And so I watched a lot of these guys just getting started. I was able to work with them, learn a lot of things from their playbook, and not only kind of learn things from behind the scenes, but also reverse engineer a lot of the stuff that was going on. And yeah, I had the privilege of working with a lot of cool people and learning a lot of things. And it was so funny when I found out that Elite Daily, Gerard's website, it was like a blog, a magazine, sold for $50 million. I was like, I got to start a magazine. Jesus Christ. So not too shortly after I moved to Puerto Rico.
And Disrupt magazine was born.
Disrupt magazine was born, yeah. So now we have over 2,000 contributors. Really shout out to them because they keep the Disrupt brand alive. We have 2,000 contributors all around the world that are writing articles. I write an article once in a while, but it's really like that editorial team that's just really putting in the work and helping to grow that brand. For
Any more
sure.
questions?
But collaboration is key, right? So we do that through events. We do that through online magazines, publications, podcasts, being able to work with others and attach your name, right? Like I'm going to get a little bit of clout from working with Big Pedro, and Pedro's going to get a little bit of clout from working with me. So really collaboration is key, not only from what you can learn, but then also building your brand.
Collaboration over competition, man. Bottom line. Collaboration over competition, man. At the end of the day, there's enough money out there for all of us. And at the end of the day, you can, like for instance, he has events, I have events. We're not competing with each other whatsoever. In fact, I invited him to come share his event this week. So let's get a round of applause for Mr. Anthony Delgado. But don't go nowhere.
Real
Don't go
quick,
nowhere.
one more shameless plug in the back. We have a celebrity guest.
Hold on, brother. Hold on. That's my job. Just relax a second. Let's get a picture right here really quick. Let's get a picture real quick with this guy, that guy, whichever guy. Just one of them guys. I don't give a fuck. Just get a picture. All right, so go on up here. Let me get Puerto Rock Steady Crew bringing you. That'd be you. Mr. Crazy Legs. Come on up here.
Crazy Legs, come on up, bro. So let's give it up.
All right, y'all. Let me get a round of applause. I don't care if you're old enough. You know what we're talking about or nothing. We were telling you he's a legend. Damn it. This is. I don't know if you guys know anything about hip hop, right? Well, if you guys know something about hip hop, there's 4 elements to hip hop, right? You got MCing, right? You got DJing, you got graffiti, and the 4th one, of course, is breakdancing. And this brother right here is legendary. This is legendary Crazy Legs straight out of Bronx, yeah?
Bronx, yeah.
Bronx, New York.
And Isabella.
Give him a round of applause, man. Show him some love, man.
I didn't know I was going to be speaking, but that's
Everyone
cool.
speaks, bro. It's quick.
It's all good.
So I basically just want to tell you guys about the event. Why don't you just tell them a little bit about the events you have this weekend?
Well, I've been doing PRS Fest now for 9 years. Started in Isabella.
Hugo, I just want to say you didn't move up all the way till Crazy Legs got here. So I just want to point that out to Tony. That's all I just wanted to say. But go ahead. But go ahead. I just wanted to point that out. He sat right in the front when Crazy
That's my
Legs
dog
got here.
right there. So yeah,
He pulled his phone out and everything. But go ahead.
I started doing it. We're a party with a purpose, and I felt like, hey, if I can do an event in New York City with 15, 20,000 people, I could do something down here with that following for my people, but also have a give back component within the festival. So we do have the festival coming up. We have something happening here in this area. There's going to be an amazing art auction / fundraiser happening next Friday with some very notable artists. And it's also going to be a meet and greet with the Black Eyed Peas. It'll be hosted by Russell Peters, the comedian. And then we have an already sold out event at the Vivo Beach Club, where I think these are the only tickets left right here. So yeah. So we're doing this to basically raise awareness, but as well as be proactive when it comes to doing things for the island and supporting economic development and education. So things like that are important to me because I know what I didn't have growing up in the Bronx. And I think it's a good way for myself to recognize what's needed and use my resources for that. But I also know that, and I'm going to keep it very fucking honest right now, when it comes to Puerto Rico, there's a divide between the digital community and the local yokel, the Boricuas. And the art auction / fundraiser is really about bridging that divide, trying to get people within the Act 60 community to do a little bit more, but at the same time walk away with an amazing piece of art by an amazing artist. And at the same time, we're able to do something for the Boys and Girls Club, which I have a very close relationship with. And if there's a way, I think there's a way to chip away at the animosity towards the two communities. And me as a Puerto Rican, I'm thinking like, okay, well, if I could tell my people, hey, I know you're upset with them, but they did a little more this year. And if more and more keeps happening, I mean, it's a win. It's a win. I don't know if it's always enough in certain people's eyes, but those eyes, it's never going to be enough. But at the same time, if we could do our part and continue to recognize what's needed on the island, I think it makes it a better relationship for all of us as a people who are sharing a community. So yeah, that's what I do. We have an amazing event at Drift. Also, Talib Kweli, we just added him to the list. Shout out to Ray and everyone else who's been helping. And
Ray, come on up here, Ray.
yeah, and I just want to give a huge shout out to all the women who have been working behind the scenes, because if it weren't for the women who are working behind the scenes with us, this shit would fall apart.
I don't care if
So
you're working
shout out
behind
to
the scenes or not.
all the ladies out there.
We need more women in our lives for sure. But
Yes.
go ahead, Ray. Tell them a little bit about what you got going on, sir.
So let's focus on fun. All right? Let's go for a super fun weekend coming up now on Friday here at Caña. Super awesome sit-down dinner. Black Eyed Peas, like, arm's length away. Some pictures, great DJs. At 11:30, we're going to move to the Chico Lounge. will.i.am's going to spin for an hour. I mean, you don't get that close to that hot, vibe that easy. And then on Saturday, it's at Vivo, Black Eyed Peas, a bunch of DJs. Again, great vibe. Those 120 tickets that are for sale tomorrow lets you in the whole weekend. It'll get you into Caña, Chico Lounge, Saturday at Vivo, Sunday at Drift, which is my favorite day of the week, Sunday brunch at Drift. And it'll be fun. Just lay down, chill, and it's all about fun. So I want to make it about just a lot of great people getting together, putting out $850 a ticket. Come on, write those checks. And just, having fun as a community and people that like to go out.
And I'm doing a couple after parties.
Woo! That's it, guys.
As much as I can say on that, because I have a lot of not so big fans out there. That's a wrap, y'all. Crypto Monday San Juan. We'll see you
Yes.
next week.
Hey, and check out prsfest.com for information, please. Yes.